Hello, continuing our reading in Ragweed and Poppy by Avi. Today is chapter 2, To Whom the Paws Belong. Ragweed had never seen a creature like it. About the size of a cat, it was covered with dark gray fur, save for its chest, which was white. Its ears were round and slightly pointy. The black nose was sharp, surrounded by white fur and long white whiskers. A swath of black fur enclosed its dark, bright eyes. That black fur was in turn encircled by white fur, so it looked as if the creature was wearing a mask. Its tail was bushy and long, with alternating black and gray stripes. Its forepaws, Ragweed noticed, again, each had 5 claws. Once the animal had climbed into the boxcar, it sat upon its rump and looked all about, as if puzzled by its surroundings, all the while making soft, breathy, and anxious sounds. What kind of creature is this? Ragweed kept asking himself. And what's making it nervous? Okay, remember, do not poke your whiskers into other creatures' lives. So he remained still and watched, hoping the animal would go away. The animal sniffed a few times. A pink tongue popped out and licked its nose. Uh-oh, thought Ragweed. It's hungry. Maybe it wants to eat me. The train gave a lurch and began to move, resuming its rapid pace. When it did, the animal whirled about and gazed open-mouthed out the boxcar doorway. At first it seemed to do nothing more than stare, as if unable to grasp what was happening. Then it let forth a groan, suggesting deep misery. As Ragweed continued to watch, the creature edged closer to the boxcar doorway, lifted one of its paws, and stuck it out into the air. The 5 long claws seemed to be feeling the passing wind, trying to grasp what it was. Then it crouched back upon its rear legs as if prepared to jump. Before Ragweed could think what he was doing, he shouted, "Dude, don't do it!" Startled, the animal looked around. "The train is going too fast," Ragweed shouted. "Trust me, bozo, if you jump now, you'll butter your brain." Who's talking to me?" stammered the frightened creature as it gazed around the boxcar in search of the voice. "Me, Ragweed." What's a me ragweed?" "A mouse." I've never seen a me ragweed before. A mouse before. Where are you? What do you look like?" Over here, dude, in the corner." Can you make yourself bigger?" the animal asked. Ragweed stood up. "See me now?" "Is that all of you?" Sorry," said Ragweed. "Mice are small." He cocked his head to one side, touched his earring to reassure himself, and then said, "Mind my asking just what you are?" "What do you think? A raccoon." "What's your name?" "Lotar." The raccoon studied Ragweed intently, but then turned to gaze out of the boxcar doorway again, clearly much more concerned with what had happened, that the train was moving fast and the world was speeding by. To Ragweed's surprise, he saw tears form at the corners of Lotar's bright eyes, tears that began to roll down along his furry cheeks. "Hey, raccoon," called Ragweed, "what's your problem?" Lotar stared out of the boxcar doorway. "It's my mama. She's back there." He made a vague motion with a paw, even pointed with a claw. More tears fell. "How'd that happen?" I was with Mama in our rock cave in the forest. It was all cozy. She went to sleep. I did too. But when I woke up, she wasn't still sleeping. But I was hungry. Only I didn't want to wake her. Mama loves to sleep during the day. So I thought I might get a little something to eat by myself. And so I went out to find some food and walked a really long time and through the woods. After a while, I smelled something good. It was at the bottom of a gully, and when I looked down into that gully, this huge thing was sitting here. It's called a train, said Ragweed. Well, I never saw one before. And if it wasn't moving, not a bit, but I smelled something delicious, and the way was open. Did it smell like nuts? Asked Ragweed, hoping it wasn't him that smelled good. I didn't know what it was, said Lotar, except it seemed tasty, and since I was very hungry, I jumped up really high. I never jumped so high in my whole life, and I got in here. But my mama went away. The raccoon lifted his head and howled. No, said Ragweed. You're the one who went away. The train moved. Why? Asked Lotar with another sniff. Why did it do that? It's what trains do. The raccoon looked back at the boxcar doorway, opened its mouth wide, showed its many teeth, and cried, I want my mama! Tears began to flow again. You're awfully big, suggested Ragweed, to be crying about your mother. How old are you? 2 months, said Lotar. Okay, fine, you're a baby. That's what my mama says. How old are you? 5 months, said Ragweed. The raccoon studied the mouse. If I'm younger, he said, how come I'm bigger? This animal, thought Ragweed, has as much smarts as a splat of spit. Hey, excuse me asking, do raccoons eat mice? I don't know. I never saw a mouse before. What do you know? I love my mama, and I hate dogs, snakes, and people. Mama hates them too. She says if I see any of those things, I should run away fast. They bite, and it's no fun getting bites. Well, your mama isn't here, and I'm not a snake, dog, or people. But your mama is right. Keep away from them. Well, what's a people? Tall, two-legged creatures with fur on the top of their heads, said Ragweed. As Ragweed studied the raccoon, he reminded himself of something back home at the brook. His own mama had taught him that he must always look after youngsters. That made him remember his kid brother Rye. This raccoon was young. So he said, better come over here and eat something. It'll make you feel better. Lotar waddled to where Ragweed was. The mouse, all too aware how big the baby raccoon was compared to him, scooted out of the way. The raccoon sniffed at the bag and with his 2 front paws made Ragweed's hole in the bag much bigger. Then he pushed his nose inside the bag, found the food, picked it up with his paws, then began to gobble. As he ate, he made loud chewing noises, as well as splatters and gulps. Though Ragweed was uneasy by how fast this baby raccoon ripped through the bag with his claws, he said nothing. Better for him to eat peanut butter than to eat me, he thought. Do you have to make so much noise when you eat? He asked. Lotar looked around. Mom always says that too. Sounds like you need to be told what's going down and up. All I know, protested the raccoon as tears began to fall again, is that my mama is gone, which means there's no one to tell me what to do. How about, using your own brain, suggested Ragweed. I'm sorry, said Lotar. I'm so young I don't have much brain. To prove it, he sat down and looked as if he didn't know what to do next. Do you happen to know the name of your forest? Dimwood Forest? Truly? That's what Mama calls it. That's when Ragweed had his idea. And this raccoon says he lives in Dimwood Forest. Okay, maybe if I help him find his mama, I can get where I want to go. Tell you what, said Ragweed. I'll help you find your mama. Then he added, remember, the only one I'm running with is me. When we get you home, put me down as up and out. But if we're going to get there, the first thing we need to do is get off this train. You told me I shouldn't get off. You can, furball, when the train stops. Lothar rubbed his face with his claws, then pulled on his whiskers. Tears began to flow again. But if the train stops moving, keeps moving, won't I keep getting further away from her? Don't worry. It seems to stop a lot. Next time it does, all we have to do is, get off. But then where would we look? Like you said, in the forest. Alone? More tears. No, with me, Ragweed shouted. Be patient, he told himself. He's going to get you to Dimwood Forest. What if there are people in the woods, or snakes, or dogs? Said Lothar. Mama says keep away from them. The raccoon put his nose near Ragweed's face again. Would you maybe, please, since you're older and smarter, could you go first when we look for her? Ragweed considered Lothar. I hope this idea of mine works. He put a paw to his earring by way of reassuring himself that he was doing the right thing. What's that thing hanging from your ear? Asked Lothar. An earring. What's it for? Something friends gave to me. Did you lose them? Ragweed, wishing it weren't so hard to be with an annoying raccoon, said nothing. I'll be your friend, said Lothar. Your best friend, and you can be my best friend. I don't want friends, said Ragweed. Anyway, you're too big. That's silly. I'm small. It's Mama who's big. But when the train stops, will you really help me find her? The raccoon pushed his nose right up against Ragweed again. Extra, please! Ragweed put both paws against Lothar's nose, and with all his strength tried to shove the animal away. The raccoon didn't budge. Gasping for breath, Ragweed said, Don't you listen? I already told you I would. Now move! Oh, thank you, said the raccoon as he pulled back. I'm going to sleep. Then he then abruptly said, Wake me when the train stops, Mouse. I'm glad you're my best friend. With that, Lothar stepped away from Ragweed, lay down, curled himself up into a ball, put his paws over his eyes, and instantly fell asleep. Ragweed stared at the raccoon. It took him a moment to realize that he was sleeping right on top of the paper bag. No more food for me. He went over to the boxcar doorway and gazed out. Though it was growing dark, he could see they were racing through more woodland. For a moment, he felt the temptation to get away from the raccoon. But he can lead me to that Dimwood Forest, he reminded himself. He walked into the far corner of the boxcar, as far as he could get from the raccoon, lay down and went to sleep. Sometime in the night, the middle of the night, Ragweed sensed the train had stopped and was now moving in the opposite direction. Now where are we going? He asked himself. Then, wonder how Clutch and Blinker are doing. But his last thought before falling back asleep into a deep slumber was, tomorrow I'll be in Dimwood Forest. And that's the end of chapter 2.